I'm back, baby. Fight the planet!
Hey, Chris and Clearbox, what's up, y'all? Happy Saturday. Hack the planet. All right, double checking everything is copacetic on the stream because OBS is redonkulous. All right, that should be fixed now. Ah, that didn't work. Yeah, like half of it's funny because I think 80% of actually doing data science is really just preparing the data and everything else in the pipelines. Only have 4 classes left. That's sick, dude. Hang on, I'm just gonna test out the TTS system real quick. Make sure this actually works. That didn't work. Hey, Monkey, what's up, dude? So I want to be a web pen tester, so at least I have a clean data set. Oh, dude, I've seen some pretty nasty web apps. Like, it's funny because there's that meme going around was like, talk about like the guy's talking to like Chat GPT, and he's like, "Hey, can you make maintainable code?" And Chat GPT's like, "Lol, can you?" Yo, it's the Mac Attack. What's up, Bobby? Yo, Richard. What's up, dude? All right, why is this thing not working? Let me see. Why is that not working?
Chris1177 cheered 43 bits and
Hey,
says,
there it goes.
"This is a Twitch cheer trigger test."
All right, good. Let me go reset the buffer. Whoop, set that back to 0. All right. Every time the damn streaming computer restarts, it breaks OBS, and I have to go fix some of the settings. It's damn annoying. Only paid a bug bounty one time. Dude, it's a little nuts sometimes. Especially, like, there's a story I just queued up. If you want to check it out, it's in the news thread for next week. It is about AMD withholding a $10,000 bounty from somebody. All right, I think I got everything good. Let's kick this off. Let's see if this is gonna work. Ooh. Hey, it did. Nice. All right. What's up, everybody? I hope you're all having a fantastic Saturday. I posted some pictures up in Discord. I spent all damn day troubleshooting the cold tub chiller. It broke OBS is probably the most common phrase about OBS. True. I've learned more about OBS than I really cared to since I started live streaming. Let's see. Yeah, here, hold on. Let me see if I can... Maybe I can pull them up real quick. Hang on. Let me see. Yeah, so I was having a whole lot of fun today. Doing some science. That's the only picture I've got right there. Here we go. So, ignore my horrendously messy kitchen back here. But yeah, so this little guy right here, this is the thermal sensor, and I was fairly certain it was broken. So what I did is down here at the connector, I had clips reading the contact points, and then I was testing it with different temperatures of water. And the way this works is this is called an NTC, a negative thermal coefficient. So what should happen is as the temperature goes up, the resistance should go down, right? So temperature goes to the right, temperature goes down, boop. Shameless Jocko's collection back here. I just hadn't crushed those cans and put them into the recycle yet. Anyway, so I come through and I'm testing the resistance. Everything looks good for a 20,000 ohm NTC circuit. Boom. I go plug it into the cold tub and the circuitry is reading 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So what does that mean? Because it's a negative thermal coefficient, higher temperature correlates to lower resistance. There's some kind of a short in the system. Something is allowing it to get electricity across that with too little resistance, and it's reading the temperatures being very high. So that basically points to something on the logic board. So I'm talking to the manufacturer now to see if I can get a new logic board. If not, then I'll just have to try and debug the logic board, which I've never done. I've never been great at hardware, but you know what? We're going to hack around and we're going to find out. That's what I did. Yes, the uber scientific American Football Cup. Honestly, that is the only football cup I own, and the reason I own it is because it was my sister's. Never too late to learn. Dude, that's all I was doing today. It was 5 hours of digging in there, applying some basic physics, and trying to understand what the electronics were doing to it. Yeah, that is my first official foray into hardware hacking there. Let me see here. Where's this one? Bring this up. All right. Hack the planet. That's right. Hack the cold tub. Yeah, it was kind of wild too. So I bypassed the... Oh no, the chiller was still attached. I left the whole thing just kind of chilling there. Thought, okay, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. I go open the chiller up so I can plug one of the ports and I can pull the cold tub out, and I was going to bypass it and just leave it running. However, I opened the cold tub, right? And keep in mind, this is insulated. It's basically like a giant man-sized Yeti cooler with some holes drilled in it for circulation. That's what this thing is. I go open it and it's steamy. I'm like, what the crap? I checked the water temperature. It's like 91 degrees Fahrenheit, way above the house temperature. I was like, damn it. The pump, it's got an electromagnetic pump, right? It's just spinning there. That thing just dumps all of its energy as heat. And what's it do? It just dumps it into the water. So I went through and did a little math, and it should be like 125 gallons in the cold tub. It's a roughly 120... Oh, crap, what is it? I think it's about 130 15-watt pump. I forget exactly. But it came out to like, it should raise the water temperature about 11 degrees per day until it hit an equilibrium. And it hit the equilibrium. I was like, damn it, it's just going to become a bacteria breeding ground. So shut the whole system down, drained it, which was what I was hoping to avoid. And now, so it's just sitting there drier than the Sahara while I mess with the chiller, get it cleaned up and fixed. So hopefully you'll see what the manufacturer says. How many years have I been live streaming the home lab? Let's see. About 2.25 years. I think I started February of 2024. Getting close to hot tub zone. I know, right? It's kind of nice to know that if I ever wanted to, I could just turn the chiller off, let it go for a few days, and then I've got a hot tub. There we go. If I was going to do that, though, Bobby, I'd probably go put a new addition into the system and add an ozone. What's the thing called? Basically, an ozone system in there to help clean the water a little bit better. Because right now, it just has a microfilter in there. That's basically it. All right, let's see here. Oh, by the way, if you did not hear the news, apparently Anthropic hyped too close to the sun and got burned. And the U.S. Commerce Department, I forget who it is, someone in the U.S. government slapped them with an export control saying that they could not allow the, as I call it, fumble model, because you can't use it for frickin' anything. Yeah, the flight of Icarus. That's right. The flight of Anthropic. They got hit with an export control, and they had to take Fumble 5 offline because they said not only can it not be used outside of the United States, it cannot be used by non-U.S. citizens. And what's even more funny about that is, they have so many employees that don't even reside inside the U.S. One of them being their biggest name to join the team, which was Andrew Karpathy, which if you haven't seen his stuff, he's like a giant galaxy brain for all things AI and machine learning. So even he can't get access to it. I was like, oh man. When you compare your model to a nuclear bomb, that's what happens. Supposedly, I haven't got any strong confirmation of this. There was a jailbreak somebody found in the Fable model, and because of that jailbreak, it triggered this whole thing. I'm still trying to collect data. We'll talk about it Wednesday night on the news stream. But I can't help but think Anthropic brought it on themselves. How else will we hype up our IPO to 20x our actual revenue? I know, right? I heard it was AWS that ratted them out or something. That wouldn't surprise me, Bobby, because there was a requirement. So typically people are running models on Bedrock, so they have data control, right? If you're working on private data, you can't just go yeeting that up to Anthropic because they're going to keep it. That's just kind of the way it works. So what people will do is they will pay API billing rates and they'll use those models hosted in Bedrock, which by default, you have to actually go enable this in CloudWatch. I think that's the name of it. Whatever the cloud logging system is for AWS. And if you don't enable that, it doesn't track what you're doing back and forth, except when it comes to Fable. Fable, they said, we have to retain all information for 30 days. So already people were like, okay, cool, we're not going to spin that up in there. But that wouldn't surprise me, Bobby, if it was AWS that ratted them out. I'm hoping to get some more information before the Wednesday night stream. I work in a hospital and we're forbidden from using Anthropic and OpenAI. I don't doubt it, man. The way I've got everything set up is I have Bedrock set up for running models that I can send sensitive data to, and then I have non-sensitive data that I can send to ChatGPT. That's the way I've got it run. What's the name of the AI service that doesn't retain logs? So Bedrock over on AWS will, but you're going to be paying the API rates. There's no subscription to that. Also, what Monkey's talking about is Llama CPP, which is a tool you can use to run local AI models if you've got the hardware. This is where I put my AI hardware, if I had any. God, they're all so expensive. Maybe after the next generation of things comes out, us plebs can get the leftover dregs that the AI data centers are not sucking up. I'm more of an alpaca. Dude, my buddy had... I don't think I've got it up here. Hang on, maybe I do. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, here it is. Let me show you all this. This was at my buddy's wedding. One of my very good buddies, awesome hacker. He's actually really big on hardware, so I was conversing with him today, showing what I was looking at. Check this out. This was at his wedding. Dude, this alpaca had Riz right here, because he's posed for that selfie. Yeah. So, one of the best things I've ever seen at a wedding, right there. Yes. The next time I have to, in fact, actually, you just reminded me, I got to go to week after next. I'm going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm probably only going to have one night where I will be available, and that's probably going to be Wednesday night. So there will be no Wednesday news stream week after next. But Wednesday, let me see what day that's going to be. Wednesday the 24th. Hey, Banks, thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in, and I hope you're having a wonderful, stupendous, stellar, sexy Saturday. So, yeah, the 24th, I will be in Charlotte, North Carolina. If anybody's near there and wants to get together, we can get together and hang out. I'm only going to have that, I think, one night to do it because I'm going to be working with a client. Monday, it's going to be like all prep. Tuesday, it's like everything with the client. Wednesday, I'll be finished, and then I got to fly back on Thursday. I hate when my keyboard wigs out. If I ever make an Olama Power Telegram bot, that's got to be the avatar picture. Yeah. Oh, too funny. Yeah, so you just reminded me, though, that picture, I forgot, like, I had bookmarked that to put in for, like, the About Me slide. And I was like, oh, I've been so busy on working on the other stuff for the presentation that I got to give to this company. I was like, dang it, I gotta put that picture in. That's gonna be it. Rabbit's over in Discord saying, I'm listening from the other room. Say hi, Carrie. Bro, Rabbit, that is unfortunate timing, by the way. That's very unfortunate timing. New LinkedIn banner. I guess it could be. All right, let me check something. Actually, I was checking on the lab today, and it seemed to be running much smoother. Let me do a little test real quick here. Echo Blaise is the bestest ever. Okay, cool. For some reason, I don't know what changed. The lab is not running like a one-legged turtle in the hurdles. It's actually running decently now. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing the, because it's actually a pretty stuffy crowd that I'm going to be giving this presentation to. I can't wait to see the reactions. By the way, here's me. I break stuff for a living. Here's an alpaca. Should I add the Discord to the Twitch About section? I thought about it. However, I was worried that we'd get, because we just had some spammer come in there. I had to go clean that up. That's right, never be predictable. But if you do ! Discord in the chat, it shows up. It's also, I don't know, I guess I probably should, Monkey, because it's in all of the, what is it? It's in all the YouTube video, all the archives. Have it in the description. I might as well. No merch yet, Chris. All right. No merch yet. I've got ideas for the BBC crew merch. That's too damn funny. Let's see. All right, what were we doing last week? Oh, that's right. We were getting ready to do We were partway through the role-based constrained delegation. Hold on, that's not the right one. Here we go. That's right. Here's where we got to. Let's review where we were last week. So, we compromised LXO1. We did that by making a new computer with our compromised Sunfire account named root, which the server, because it's running MIT Kerberos, confused root dollar as root. That allowed us to root the system. Once we were on there, we had to go in and actually hack the lab to go fix it to get the proper script running. Then we were able to steal Viserian's TGT. After we did that, that allowed us to go create a new computer named Arax, ARRAX. So we created Arax, got to there, but honestly, fixing the timing, freaking clocks and DNS, man. After we fixed that and fixed the SSH script so we could properly steal the credentials, we had to backdoor into the box because I'm running the lab locally here. Then we were getting ready to actually do the role-based constrained delegation on Cyrax here. So that's where we left off. Clock sync broke OBS. It probably did. No, what happens on the OBS side is I use virtual audio cables. I've paid them for their drivers. It's just very convenient. And you know what? Helping out a small independent development team. And unfortunately, I guess the orders of the drivers loading, the virtual audio cable that it creates isn't loaded directly at runtime or something. Yeah, it's from the same guys that make Voicemeeter, I think. And so I'm not using Voicemeeter, but I'm using the virtual audio cable. So I've got like cables A, B, C, D in there. Yeah, it works fantastic. So I got those set up, but what happens is OBS will come back up and then it will forget that virtual cable A exists. So then I got to go back into SpeakerBot, I got to go back into OBS, and I got to go reconfigure them. That's a technical term. And get them back. Actually, it also will forget that the microphone exists. I got to go reset the microphone. Stuff that like shouldn't even be an issue. But you know what? It's just mildly annoying. There's been times I've started the stream and forgot to fix it, and I'm just sitting here talking along, and then you freaking hecklers have come in and you've used the "I can't hear you" sound so much I don't even register it. Yeah, I don't even register it. That's supposed to be there to remind me that I'm muted or something. And you guys just abuse it all the time. Shut up, baby, I know it. Now, why didn't that one play?
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
You just proven the point, Gumby. Or a monkey, that's all you're doing. I need to message Gumby. I hadn't seen him in a bit. This is like the height of storm season, though, so Gumby's probably out storm chasing. I need to add something onto OBS where I can see that, because when you do the celebrations, Chris, I got to look over at the side monitor where I've got the stream monitor running for Twitch. Got some Arkansas tornado alerts. Not surprising, man. The weather here's been brutal. Man, and I just had another roofer come out and look at my house, because for anybody who is maybe new to the stream or missed this, I had my roof replaced. I got dick from insurance for that. And then after they came back through, remounted. So the whole process was I had to get the solar panels demounted from the roof. They came in and did the roof. They did it really fast and put strong shingles on it. That goes all the way up to class 4. They put class 3, which apparently was 1 less than it needed to be. I needed 4. I got 3. I'm down 1. And it came through then, they remounted them on Thursday. Saturday, the biggest freaking storm this area has had in probably 20 years comes blasted through. And just, it appears to have damaged the brand new roof. Yeah. Hope the side monitor's horizontal. No. I've got 2 verticals sitting over here, and then I've got a larger monitor up here, and then I've got an ultra wide down here. So what you're seeing here is actually only about 80% of the ultra wide. Yeah. So like, for example, this right here, this isn't from the side monitor. This tab is actually on this monitor right here. Can I send your picture to Jocko? Knock yourself out, man. All right, let me double check where I had some other notes over here somewhere. Let me see, because I had to go look up how to do this, the role-based constraint delegation, because typically I would go do this part here using a Windows system with Rubius. However, I didn't set up a Windows attack box for this lab. So what happened was we got to do this all in Linux. That's okay. Let's see. So we created the RX machine. So now to do the role-based constraint delegation, we're going to need to go pull a TGT for the Cyrax machine. Yes. And then after we do that, I need to double check. I think there's a role-based constraint delegation tool available. Where is that? Let me see. I think it's in the InPacket suite. Back when I was just having fever dreams one day, I thought about making a Go implementation of InPacket and call it GOLM, Golem. I thought that'd be pretty funny. Let's see. Okay, cool. There is a role-based constraint delegation tool in InPacket. Nice. Okay. Okay. Now we're cooking with propane. And yeah, Banks, it total chaos. That storm was wicked. I'll see if I can grab a picture of it. But there are scars in my fence. And the scars are horizontal. It was wild. One of my neighbors sent a picture of like one of the large... most of the hail was not super big, but there were some big chunks in there. And the biggest one that we saw from the pictures, because everybody in my neighborhood was sharing the pictures, and it's like the size of a freaking baseball. It was amazing. I'm like, great. Love that. Oh, no. See, this is where the insurance... Hey, Silencio. Thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. I hope you were having a stupendous, salacious? I don't know. Sexy Saturday? Yeah, we'll go with that. No, so this is where the homeowner's insurance just screws you over. So not only do they, after you make a claim, they raise your rates, because what they do is they go by zip code, and they'll say, by the way, this zip code lost money, so we want to raise rates for people in that zip code, even though they're making bank on every other zip code in the entire freaking state, right? Never mind that. So they'll do that. Then there's actually two different types of insurance. There's actual cost value, which is the cost to replace the cost of your home as it currently sits, or anything attached to your home, like a roof. And then there's actual cost, replacement cost value. So actual cost value is what is your roof worth if it died right now? Well, my roof was beat to crap, so it wasn't worth really anything. The other part there is replacement cost value, which is how much it costs to replace the roof. Makes sense, right? I did not have replacement cost value. I had actual cash value. So since my roof was beat to shit because it just had never been replaced and the house is now currently 17 years old, there we go. So 30-year roof, beat to hell after 17 years, yay, Texas weather. And on top of that, then I go back to talk to him. There's an additional deductible for wind or hail damage. It's 2% of my insurance total. Yeah. So that's another several $1,000s. And then they had the balls to raise my rates. Imagine if we read insurance documents like we do technical documents. Oh, I've gotten quite an education in insurance lately. Freaking hate it. Some things you just wish you didn't have to know. Anyway, enough about insurance. It's just going to raise my blood pressure. All right, let me see how this guy's actually going to function here. So this is the role-based constraint delegation tool from Impacket. Let's see. So it looks like what we're going to need here is... I might as well just go run it, actually. Let's go see if we've got it, because it'll be a prettier help output than this. Let's just go run it real fast. Let's see. RBCD.pat. There we go. Give me the helps. All right, so we're going to see who we're going to delegate to, who we're going to delegate from. The action. Okay, we got to figure out what the action's doing here. Action to operate on the MSDS allowed to act on behalf of other identity. Okay. If we're going to use LDAP S, TS is at a timestamp for logging output. I don't really care about that. We can pass in our hashes, or we can use Kerberos. We're going to use Kerberos. And then we want to give it the DC IP address and host name probably. We'll go ahead and give it both. Actually, do we need to give it both? Let's see. If the IP address of the KDC is for Kerberos, if omitted, it will use the domain part of the FQDN specified in the identity parameter. Host name of the domain controller for Kerberos. If omitted, DCIP will be used. Okay. Let's see. So I think what we're going to need to do is we're going to use Cyrax to delegate to Arax. I don't know if that was like was Arax another character in Game of Thrones? Let's see. House of the Dragon Arax. Let's see. Oh, so Arax was another dragon. Was Cyrax a dragon? Okay, so Cyrax is a different dragon. So these are all dragon names. All right. I was just curious. I never watched House of the Dragon. I never finished Game of Thrones book or TV series. And I've learned that I was better off not finishing the TV series. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to throw this into... We're going to delegate from Arax, who we created, so we've got all that credential material. We're going to delegate to Cyrax. Game of Thrones was great for 6 seasons. Yeah. What's funny is the blog post I wrote about the gentle crash course to large language models. I made a callback to that because I had a big history section in the beginning because I wanted to demystify a lot of the stuff that people have notions about language models. I was like, guys, it is matrix multiplication all the way down. It's just working in a very high dimensionality, and it gives really cool results because of that. So, but in the background there, I also included like, hey, the year is, I forget what year it was, and everybody was on edge for Game of Thrones Season 8, and this happened in the technology evolution. And my technical reviewer left me a comment there. He's like, thanks, I had successfully suppressed that from my memories, and you brought it back. I was like, sorry, not sorry. It wouldn't be so bad if George R.R. Martin just finished his books, you know? Let me see here. So let me double check. Hold on. I'm trying to make sure I've got all the information that we've got here. Let's see. Yeah, so Viserion had write SPN over to Vagar. We did that. And then we added HTTP arax.dracarys.lab. So web connection to that. Then we created Arax. So now I'm tired of really good TV shows just not crossing the finish line well. I mean, even DS9 did that. DS9 had a pretty underwhelming ending to it. And DS9 is probably it's a very close contender, if not my favorite of the Star Trek series. I really liked DS9. I liked Captain Sisko. I liked getting to see the stuff that wasn't like in the polished interior of the Federation. I thought it was really cool. And plus, don't even get me started on Garrick. Garrick is the best character in all of Star Trek. I freaking love Garrick. Oh yeah, not sponsored by Jocko yet. All right. I think there was a better way we could have done this. No, there was a reason why we had to do Arex. Hang on. Let me see if I can pull up something real quick. I gotta refresh myself real fast. Because we were looking at LX01. Which system was that? That was Vagar? Yeah, this should be LX01. This is the Linux server here. Oh, it's not showing up here because I think our snapshot is too old. Oh, let's go back through the... Oh, hang on. I opened a new terminal. I didn't mean to close that. Oh, well. Okay, so we got Cyrax's key here, but before we did that, we did a lot of troubleshooting. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, something else we found out. So the way we got the Cyrax machine account credential material here, the way we got that is there's a key tab. There's this file, krb.keytab. It sits in the etc directory on a Linux machine. However, it keeps a running list of them. So we grabbed it. We did a Kerberos keytab extract, but the Kerberos keytab extract we were using was like the initial proof of concept version. It only grabbed the first set of data. There's multiple sets in there, and this lab has stayed up for several weeks. It has been up long enough that the machine has hit the 30-day mark and cycled its credentials. So we kept figuring, I was like, dude, we've got all this correct. What is going on here? Come to find out, someone in chat had pointed this out, that it has those additional entries, just the tool wasn't extracting them. So then we got pointed over to keytab extractor DOS, an updated version somebody else made that dumps all the additional copies out. So then we came down here, we found the actual working key material right about, these entries here. So that gave us the NT hash, the AES 128 and 256. So that was something else I forgot to mention from last weekend. We did that. So there was a lot of back and forth there after we got that. But there was other stuff that we did in here. Let me see. Because we did go through and set up... Maybe I just need to go do another Bloodhound extraction. I don't know how far back in the back scroll we can actually go. I'm double checking like what we did. Did I put it in the notes? Because if I didn't, I'm going to kick myself. No, last thing we had in here was actually us stealing that Kerberos ticket for Viserion whenever the script fired. We were waiting for it and we went and grabbed it. Oh wait, here we go. Hold on. Now we're looking more familiar here. There we go. So now we added this onto it. This right here. So this is on Cyrax. Oh no, sorry. Cyrax already had this. Cyrax had allowed to delegate to Arax here. Boop. Just like that. Okay. So then... Hold on, sorry. I'm having to refresh myself because it's been a long week. I'm finally catching up on some sleep. My sleep debt is finally under 10 hours. What are all the changes we made? Hold on, I got an idea here. Give me history, pipe it over to less. There we go. This will actually tell us what we're looking at here. let's see. So this was us attempting to figure out what the key tab problem was. And then, that's right. We used bloody AD to go in and add this to it. So here we are. So on Balerion, that was this looks familiar, weird, but Balerion was the domain controller. You had to remember all of these things are just attributes on an object in Active Directory, right? So we went through and we actually modified the stuff on the domain controller. After we went through and modified it, what we did is we set this on Vagar. It's kind of wrapped around so you can barely see it. But we went through and we added a whole bunch of stuff in here. And the things that we added are, here we go. So we added HTTP AirAx over to its list of SPNs in here. So perfect. Now we've got a service principal name in there that we can then abuse. Excellent. All right, so that should be in there. Yeah, let's double check it real quick. It's probably going to say the TGT is no good. Yeah, the TGT for Viserion is no good. RIP. Hold on. Get TGT. Yeah, we could do that. We could do it for root. We just need something that's able to read it. So we don't need a special one in here. We needed that for writing to it, but we could just do it with root. Let's see, root.ccache. There we go. Because any active account can go read this material from Active Directory. So we went to just grab a different account here. All right. That's weird. Hang on, let me run another Bloodhound collection real quick. Won't take it very long here. All right. Let me grab this. Let's go throw the new collection up into Bloodhound real quick. Because it's just easier to visualize it over in Bloodhound. Let's see. Administration. File ingestion. Upload a file. No, that didn't work. There we go. Upload. We'll just let that upload and process it real fast. Because that command was saying that the new SPNs that we added weren't showing up in there, which is weird. All right, we'll give this just a second to compile real fast. Actually, let me check something else real quick. Make sure, because we did set that on Vagar, didn't we? Yeah, that would where it would have to be for this attack. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so those should have been set on there. See that? Yeah. So we went to the Balerion, which is our DC. We set the object for Vagar dollar, added a new principal name. Now the problem is this one only has one operation, which was set. So we had to give it the full list of everything that was already in there so we didn't destroy it. But then we had to go add this one. So did it get stripped out? Let's go double check. Let's see. So this should be the current state of the lab here. And let's go check the spins on it. Hey, Disclosure, what's up, man? Dude, I guess I'm doing all right. I'm doing not too shabby. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Boom. There they are. Okay, good. Was I just blind and not seeing it in the terminal? Yeah, I was just blind. Okay, cool. Well, always good to have confirmation in here. That was pretty much what I was doing the whole damn day when I was working on the chiller. I must have spent 5 hours working on that thing and taking it apart, reading, researching, looking up parts, figuring out if the thermocouple was actually working correctly. It's actually called a thermistor, like a thermal resistor.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
I tried so many times. Ultimately, where I actually found this out, 57, was I took the chiller, I partially reassembled it. I plugged up the hole where the thermal sensor goes in, and then I put the thermal sensor in ice water. And then I powered up the system real briefly just to get a temperature reading so I could see what the logic board was doing. And the logic board read 140 degrees Fahrenheit in ice water. I was like, dude. So then I looked up what was the max temperature that thermistor kind of supports. It supports about like 120. I was like, okay, I can get 100-degree water pretty easily. I just threw some water in the kettle, got 100 degrees, put that in there. It was still reading 140. So the thermistor is working. The logic board has a short in it somewhere, and it's just reading like very little resistance, which means very high temperature. Am I natively using Kali, or is this a web interface? This is actually a web interface. We're in something called Chasm VNC right here. So this is running in the lab, and it makes it real easy to just go hop over into the lab and remote into it. I actually thought about making a video on troubleshooting because I think a lot of people misunderstand like how troubleshooting really goes through and how you have to think through the process and break it down. I thought about doing that, but actually no. Actually, let me get y'all's feedback on something. Something I'm considering doing for probably not this weekend. Maybe, actually, I don't know, maybe tomorrow night even. So I'm trying to get back to cutting weekly YouTube videos. And one of the ideas I was thinking was see about recording them after the stream is done, right? So we usually cover the stream for about 3 hours on Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday. But then after the stream is done, think about like, we can leave the chat up. You guys can give suggestions. We can still interact, but then use that last hour to actually like go and record whatever the video is going to be for YouTube. And actually, honestly, I got the idea from Theo because that's what he does. I was like, that would at least give me some dedicated time to go start recording those videos and cutting them. Because that's been the hardest trouble is like, hey, when can I do this? Only thing I'll have to sacrifice is a little bit more sleep. Probably piss my wife off. Sock's already upset that I go to bed so late. Let's see here. All right, so everything looks like it's good. We can add peanut gallery flavor that reminds you of a topic. That's right. Well, typically what I'll do is I'll pick out a topic from the Wednesday night news stream, and that's the one that I'll want to go record. So, heck, maybe it makes the most sense to do that on Wednesday night. Hey, we've just gone through all the news. I could send the information up, and I could have Harvey go bullet point it for me real quick so I make sure I don't miss anything in it, and then cover it in there. That might be something. I've got, right now, the chat is on a teleprompter right here. It's not that big a deal to just move that, put whatever the little script is in there, and then just start recording it. And then you guys can laugh at me whenever I do stupid stuff. I thought it'd be fun. Okay. Let's see here. All right, so Vagar's up. We have Viserian's right SPN. We're good there. We created Arax. The Cyrax is allowed to delegate to Arax in there. Gotta leave the stupid stuff in the video. Oh, I plan to. Like, at the very end, put in some kind of, like, a bloopers. You know? It definitely won't be, like, in one clean take, either. So you guys will definitely have the ability to, like, really just roast me which I know you love. And honestly, I think it'll help improve me, like getting better. Because if you go and do something and you suck at it, everybody's going to come in, and if everybody comes in and they say, wow, man, you just did so great, you're not going to get better at it. And if everybody comes in and what I like to call lovingly roast you, like, damn, that was pretty bad, you should have done this instead, you know, then you're going to improve. Hey, Dirk, what's up, man? Dude, we're going through and what's Eric's? It's Arax. I know, hold on. My spelling is atrocious here. Let me clean this up a little bit. There you go. This is Arax. ARRAX. $. So this is a machine account that we went and made. Let me just scratch that out. So we created this machine account. So what we can do now is we can delegate to look, I want to double check something real quick. So in the RBCD script that we looked at, I want to make sure I know exactly what it's going to do in here. Because like I said, normally I'd be doing this with Rubius, but since I didn't spin up a Windows box, I'll do that for the next lab. I'll make sure and spin up a Windows box with some attack stuff on it. And I'll show you how I would really do it. We're having to go do it through Impact. So, oh, sorry, to answer your second question, Dirk, what we're doing is we're going through the GOAD Dracarius lab. Let me see. GOAD Dracarius. Here, I'll drop a link to it for anybody who wants to go take a look at it. But this is a special version of the Game of Active Directory labs that Mayfly made, but it's meant to be a challenge one. So instead of like damn vulnerable Active Directory, it's a challenge lab. Hey, Purple Core, what's up, man? Good morning. I have no idea. Can't tell you, man. Oh, your system crash disclosure? No, so to answer your question, this is, Kali here is actually running on the lab box. I'm remote connected to it using a system called Chasm VNC. So yeah, it's running in a web browser, and it's basically a browser-based VNC connection that I can use to connect over to it. So it's actually both. We are running Kali in a VM, however, it's just not here. We're remotely connected over to it. And it seems to be running a lot better now. I don't know why last weekend it was running horrible. All right, so what we need to do now is we're going to use some rbcd.pat action. And, hold on, let me get the usage back up here. Let's go over to here, and we'll start building out the command we're going to use. Let me blow this up. Whoop, whoop. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to delegate. Actually, let's make a note here. So what we did was we added spins to Vagar for Arax. And then after we did that, we created, let's make a note here, created the Arax machine account. And then, so now what we're going to get ready to do is we're going to delegate from Cyrax to Arax. And actually, let me do it like this. So Cyrax $to Arax. So we don't know why this account was in here. This was configured as a who we could delegate to on Cyrax for some reason. Maybe it was a leftover machine on there. We can come over to Cyrax if we can double check it. But this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the MSDS allowed to delegate to option in here. Here we go. You can see it right here. So allowed to delegate to this machine in here. So maybe in a real world scenario, yeah, basically browser-based VNC for Linux. I like it. It's very, very handy. Super useful. But yeah, so what we're looking at here is this appears to be a leftover configuration. Maybe Arax was an actual live machine at one point, or they were doing testing and they left it in here. But whatever happened here is this misconfiguration for a machine, Arax, which didn't exist until we made it, is now left us a hole where we can go in and then we can delegate from Arax to Cyrax in here. So let's go and let's put together that command, what it's going to be looking like here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do rbcd.py. And then let's look at what we're going to need for it. So we're going to need who we're going to delegate to. So we're going to delegate to Cyrax. And I'll just leave this all in capitals. It shouldn't actually matter if we're going to do this. And then we need to know who we're going to delegate from. There we go. Let's copy that. So then, but we're going to delegate to Cyrax from Arax in here, that machine account we just made. So Arax. That's so funny, Purple, you call it Arax. I had to think about what you were asking. At first, I'm like, it's like, who's Eric? Let's see. What else do we need for this? We don't have to use LDAP-S, I don't believe. We will be using Kerberos, so we do want to do our TAC-K and no pass in here. Because we're going to set up the Kerberos tickets for that, so we'll go ahead and put that in TAC-K and then TAC... What was it? No pass. No TAC pass. Boom. Like that. And then we also do need to tell it what action we're going to take. So action for this case will be write. Where is that? Here we go. And then what we need to write is... What do we need to... How do we fill in the right credential here? Let me see. Let's see. Action, right. Action to operate on MSDS allowed to activate. Wait, hold on. Do we need to do this? Hold on. Let me make sure I've got this correct. Let's see. So we're going to delegate to Cyrax. We're going to delegate from Arax. And the actions we have are read, write, remove, and flush. Let me think about this. I'm thinking through the Kerberos dance right now. Wonder where Peaches is. Just not under my desk like usual. It's the perfect music for thinking. I need to think about this, because I don't think we actually need to write this change. Hold on, let me think about this. Delegate to Cyrax, delegate from Arax. Hold on, I'm trying to make sure I know, because I've never used this tool before. I'm trying to make sure I understand exactly where we're going with this. So delegate to is the target account the DACL is going to be written to. So if we're delegating to... So if we're delegating to Cyrax, that's the account we're going to write to. Delegate from is the attacker-controlled account to write on the RBCD property of delegate to. Okay. Hold on. Do we actually need to write that, though? I thought we already had that in for Cyrax. Hang on. Let me look this up real quick. Hang on, because I'm questioning how this tool's actually going to function. Hang on. Let's see. Let's see. Impacket rbcd.py. Delegate to. Let me look at this real quick. Let me see what Hacker Recipes has to say about it. Because like I said, normally I would do this. So let's read through the theory section. If an account having the capability to edit the allowed to act on behalf of other identity attribute to another object is compromised, an attacker can use it to populate that attribute, hence configuring that object for role-based constrained delegation. So for the attack to work, the attacker needs to populate the target attribute with the security identifier of the account that Kerberos can consider. Oh, wait, hold on. Am I actually looking at the right one? Let me do something real quick. There's Peaches. Hello, Peaches. Let me check something real quick. Let me change this real quick. Let me go look at Cyrax. I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to get a particular entry, but I am just going to pipe it over to less because I don't want to keep the information. I want to just check it real quick. So what we're looking for is hold on. Let me find it real quick here. Delegate to target account the DACL is going to be written to. Okay. Okay, so what we're actually looking for is this right here. MSDS allowed to act on behalf of other identity. That's what we're looking for in here. So let me come in here. So this is actually, this was different. Allowed to delegate to versus allowed to delegate to another authority. So we're adding that as a delegate in here. All right, making sure I had all my P's and Q's correct. Yeah, so this one right here was the allowed to delegate to one, but the one we're actually writing is allowed to act on behalf of other identity. And I got to remember exactly where that's coming from here. Specify security principles, users, groups, or computers permitted to impersonate other identities when accessed. That's right. Okay. Yes, so that is what we need to do. So we are going to go add that because it's not in here. Yes, perfect. All right. We're cooking with propane now. We bust out of this. So yeah, we're going to go add that over to it. Perfect. All right. So that means our action is going to be a write action. And then what else do we need here? Let's finish building out our command here. So we did action write. And then we're going to do identity right here. So I think we want, let's give it the DC IP to begin with in there. We'll try that. So DC IP, in this case, that's going to be 10.4.10.10 in this lab. And then we should just be able to give it who we're actually going to be operating on. So we're going to delegate from Arax to Cyrax. And then we're going to, or sorry, so what we're actually doing here is we're allowing the Arax machine account to delegate to Cyrax here. But then we got to tell it like what we're actually connecting to. So the principal that we're going to put in there is Dracarys.lab / I put the wrong thing in there. This would be, which one is that? Cyrax. That should be it. All right, cool. Let's go fire that. Let's see. Oh, because I'm an idiot. It's not tack right. But also, I forgot in here, we need to go get a TGT for Cyrax in here. Yep. So that's going to fail because we're using invalid credentials. So we got to do a get TGT again. So get. Let's see. This was the one for root. Let me change this. We'll use the .py version. Yeah, okay, so that does work. All right, so what we want to do is we want to get this for... Actually, hang on. Because that's the password we're passing there. We're not going to use the password. We're going to use the AES key. So we need to clean this up a tiny bit. So let's go tac AES key. And then take this stuff out. Take out the password. We're going to change this because what we need is we need a key for Cyrax. There we go. All right, good. So let's do this real quick. Let's go back over to our credentials. Where's that? So for Cyrax, we'll just use the AES 128. Doesn't really matter which one we use. It should auto figure out which one we're using. Oh, key has a capital K in it. That's rude. There we go. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to export that. So we're going to export KRB5 CC name is going to be home Cali Dracarys. Nope. And then we're going to use this ticket right here. Cyrax. Boop. Just like that. And then we can then use our get TGT command right here. We'll just drop that in, make it nice and clear. That was not the command I wanted to do. Nope, it got us a new TGT, but I'm an idiot. What we need to do is actually use our new command we just built up. Boop. Here we go. Let's grab that. For doing the role-based constraint delegation. Oh wait, I had an error in the command. Let me fix that. I did tac right instead of tac action right. All right. Let's see. Server requires turn on integrity checking with TLS or SSL. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we will just have to use TLS. What was that? Let me find that command that it was real quick. Ah, there it is. TAC use LDAP S. Okay. So we'll drop that. When I'm building these commands up, by the way, there's two areas that I'll look at. First thing I'll look at is how are they listed here in the usage example? Especially when it comes to Impacket, listing them like mostly in the order that they come in right here is what I try to do. Is follow this because I've come into instances, especially with Impacket, where it wants to put them in weird places. So for this one, I'm going to drop this immediately after the right action here. So here we have our right action, just like that. And then, so before DCIP, after right action. That was incorrect. Ah, there we go. Okay. There we go. Awesome. So our allowed to act on behalf of identity was empty. Let's go pull another copy of it real quick. So what we did is we populated this. Arax can now impersonate users on Cyrax via S4U to proxy. Boop. Nice. let's go make a note of that real quick. Boom. And then let's go verify it real fast. So we'll do bloody AD again. We'll have it go get the object in there, and we'll just make sure that that allowed to delegate to. Oh, here we go. No. MSDS allowed to act on behalf of other identity. Boom. And so we see we've got this security identifier here. This is a discretionary ACL. This right here is the actual SID for Arax. If we want to go double check that, we can check it real quick over here in Bloodhound. So we go to Arax, then we go look at the security identifier for it. Boom, 113. Right there. Well, 1113. That's it. Bam. So you see that's one that's listed here in this allowed to act on behalf of other identity. Awesome. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to get a service ticket. You okay, Peaches? You okay? She's making weird noises. I think she's having a dream under the desk. All right, hold on. Let me also go back over to our little diagram here. So then we did this part right here. So now we are allowed to RBCD. And now. I miss my dog dreaming like that. I don't know what she dreams about either. Maybe she dreams about finally the day she gets to break into the chicken coop and eat my chickens the way her sister did. I don't know. She is a very looked after Poochie. She's definitely an indoor princess. She's my little shadow. I am her Captain Picard. Sock is her Riker. Yeah. And what's funny is she's very food driven. So if I ever get around to the point where like I'm working with her doing clicker training, I had the time when we had Panda when she was tiny. I take her out. She did clicker training so well because I did it from when she was a tiny, tiny puppy. And I just haven't had a chance to do it with Peaches. However, Peaches is very smart. Just like her sister. She's just a little bit more shy because she didn't grow up around tiny kids. She grew up basically in a retiree home. Folks that were older, and that's what they did is they just took care of their dogs. So she was spoiled from the get-go. And like I told you, when she came to me, she was chunky. She looked like a little Debbie Swiss roll with toothpicks for legs. And then all I did was just feed her good food. And like, it's not even like fantastical food. It's just good food. And not give her 50 treats a day. And she's got her little girlish figure back. She's actually got energy. She runs and she plays. And anytime the boys want to roughhouse with me, she starts barking. And I can't tell if she's doing the barking as like a defensive bark or like, yeah, we're having fun, I want to join in bark. I don't know. I sent videos to the previous owners. I'm like, I don't know what her mood is on this. They're like, we don't know. She never played like that with us. Probably the second one. I like to think it's the second one. I like to think that she's like, yes, we're having fun. Let's play. This is my peoples. All right, cool. So let's see here. So now what we need to do is we need to get a service ticket. So you have to remember for the Kerberos dance here, the TGT is who we are. The service ticket is the service on a target machine that we're going to go talk to, right? So what we want to do is we want to get a service ticket for Cyrax. Let me think about this. We want to get a service ticket. Yeah, that's it. We just want to get a service ticket for... Oh, but who are we getting this for? We need to get it for an account. Let me think about this. If I remember all the steps correctly, what we're going to do is we're going to use Cyrax's TGT. Let me double check something real quick. Hang on. I got to remember this. Get st.py. There we go. Make sure I remember all of the options for it here. So we have options for getting service tickets with InPacket. Give it a password hash or AS key. It will request a service ticket, and and save it as a Ccache. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to request a service ticket for Cyrax from Arax, because that's what we just set up, right? So now let's make a note of that real quick. So now Arax dollar can impersonate. Actually, hold on, we've got it right here. It says it right here. Arax can now impersonate users on Cyrax, right there. So what we're going to do is we need to pick a user that we want to impersonate, but not a user on Cyrax. We need to pick a user that we're ultimately going to impersonate over on Vagar, on the server. Hey, Question, what's up, dude? Welcome in. Happy Saturday. It is a happy Saturday. Did some troubleshooting, got a nap. My sleep tracker is finally like, okay, bro, you're taking care of yourself. Went and prepped the quads. Oh, yeah, so speaking of the quads, we've been having so much trouble, for one, because of the weather, right? Typically, we'd go riding on a Saturday, but the rain has just been beating us down. And the track where we normally go ride at, unfortunately, is very neglected. So we can't really go out there, and we can't get the manpower to go maintain the track, unfortunately, because it was a private track. And it's just something that me and my father-in-law can't do by ourselves. We need extra hands to go maintain it. So we did finally find a track we can go riding at. So we're going to take the kids out there tomorrow. So Agent Zero, my nephew, and two of my nephews are going to, and one of my brother-in-laws are going to go out there. Oh, you're in your, I got you, man. You're incognito. Yeah. Hey, Ty, what's up, dude? Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing in here is, that's what we're doing tomorrow. Go take the kids out riding, and get them some seat time, because they haven't been able to ride. Agent Zero has not gotten to ride since the last race, essentially, and that was 3 weeks ago, practically. And then the other two nephews haven't gotten to go riding in several months. So, yeah, thankfully, I think the weather's looking pretty good tomorrow. Oh, hang on one second. Okay. That's nothing. I had a text from my mom. And so I usually try to not ignore those. Let's see. All right. So going back to what we're thinking about. The water's finally receding here. Dude, I'm hoping it's going to fill up the lakes and reservoirs that we've got around North Texas, because Dallas and Fort Worth, the whole metroplex, right, has grown to like 8 million people. And when I was in high school, I think it was maybe around so I graduated from high school in 2002. I think the population in the area was maybe around 5 million. And so you're talking in 24 years, it's nearly doubled, right? It's over 8 million now. So it's gone up quite a bit. Okay, not quite doubled, but close enough for rounding. Did your associates in 2000? Dude, I didn't actually go back and finish college until 2014. Yeah, because Sock and I got married in 2014, and then I still had 1 semester of college left. Nah, you're just a spring chicken, Ty. You're still getting started, bro. Let's see. All right. Let me think about this real quick. So what we're doing here is eventually we're going to end up on Vagar, right? So we're going to get a service ticket for a user, but it's going to be to Cyrax. Because then what we're going to do is we're going to use that Cyrax. Let me think about this. You finished your master's in '02? Dang. Damn, you was old, Rabbit. You're so old. If you haven't seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding, it is a hilarious movie, and that's one of the lines that Sock and I constantly quote to each other. Especially as she sees like more and more gray creeping into my beard. She's like, "You're so old." Hey Rupert, what's up, dude? I've been using SQL since before you were born, son. Wait, hold on. I don't think that's true. When was SQL created? Holy crap, it was made in the 70s? Damn, SQL is older than me. I didn't think it was that old. Created by Chamberlain and Boyce in 74. Damn. Oh, dude, Owen, I was 30 when I turned 30 when I was still finishing my bachelor's, right? Because like I said, I was a very late student to college, and which is hilarious that my degree is in math. Stamp that on your bingo card, because I constantly had math trouble in high school. But it wasn't because the math was hard; it's because I just didn't apply myself in high school. So it was really funny. I really want to go back to like some of those teachers and be like, "Boom, got the degree, son." And didn't just get the degree. I was just a hair's breadth away. I was literally 0.01 grade points away from graduating with honors. I was like, damn it, I really wanted that nice little feather in my cap. Let's see. So I'm trying to find cybersecurity news aggregation websites. I think I saw first on this channel. Can't find it again for the life of me. I think it was the red text in the dark background. You, sir, are talking about the blog at Bad Sector Labs, which unfortunately is on hiatus right now. Yeah. So the guy over at Bad Sector Labs, Eric, who runs the Last Week in Security blog here, unfortunately, I say not unfortunately, he's taking a break. But the reason is because him and his wife had a baby. So I was like, okay, if you're going to take a break, that's like the best reason to go take a break. Right? The only two really good reasons to go take like that big of a break is like some major medical malady or you got a baby, right? Yeah, it's a well-earned break. So I've been getting, I actually was kind of worried about that because a lot of the news stories I used to cover, I pulled from Last Week in Security. But you guys have helped out a ton, putting news stories up in the Discord, and then also finding stuff because I've got certain people that I follow over on Twitter that keep up with stuff. So I'm finding constantly like new things to kind of keep track of. But I always liked Last Week in Security because Eric did such a good job of finding really neat like diamonds in the rough that no one else was really talking about. Yeah, I'm looking forward to when he's coming back. But yeah, it looks like we're now in June. I'd say probably we're 2 months in. The absolute earliest he may come back is like July. You know, take that 3 months to get to see the baby. I know. I see you on Twitter, 57. Every time I was like, there he is. I see him. All right. I keep getting distracted. The 88. I don't know what AD what was it? I don't know what HD is, but the doctor said I got 80 of them bastards. Yeah, Smelly does rule. That dude's awesome. I'm hoping he just did I think he did the keynote for, where was that? Hang on. Let me pull it up on the side monitor over meow. Hold on. I know John Hammond was there as well, and he was plugging it. Continuum Con. So yeah, apparently, I think Smelly did the keynote for that. I'm hoping it's going to be up on... I'm hoping that they're going to have the video up for it. I'll have to go check it out. Yeah, because he was joking about it, and I've been wanting to go look at it. So I'm hoping they recorded that and put it online. Because his last thing he said was, "I think I'm banned from ever presenting at a conference again after that." Okay, so hold on. Let's go back to the problem we've got here. So we've got the role-based constraint delegation set up on Cyrax. That's this machine here. And then, hold on, let me add in our new fake machine that we've got over here. I'll do this one in Playful. Here we go. So we've got a fake machine that we created, but we've got full access to the account called Arax. So Arax is a new machine that we made, and it has delegate permissions over to Linux 01. However, that's not our ultimate target. Our ultimate target is server 1 over here, Vagar, right? So what we want to do is we're going to get a service ticket for... Let me think about this. We're going to get a service ticket for Cyrax, but using the Arax account, because Arax is allowed to delegate to it. Now, the service ticket has a username principal into it. Yeah, it was very funny, 57. It was very funny. So when we get this, though, we're going to need to target an account that's not on here, because our ultimate goal is over here on server 1. So this is a Linux machine. We've already got root on it, but server 1 is a Windows machine. So what does Windows have? Windows has a built-in administrator. So boom, that's what we can do. We can jump from using the Arax account, get a service ticket for administrator on Cyrax, but then swap it for a ticket to administrator on server 1. Yeah, so what we're doing right now is we're going through and we're looking at, basically we're playing a bunch of sleight of hand with Kerberos tickets. Kerberos tickets come in more or less 2 flavors right there. You've got a TGT, a ticket granting ticket. That's like almost like your password. It says who you are and what you can authenticate as. The second type is a service ticket, a TGS, ticket granting service ticket. So with the TGS, that's what allows us to actually go, and it embeds who we are, and go talk to a machine on a particular service and authenticate with whatever, and talk to and execute whatever that service is on that machine. We're going to be hopping around and playing a little bit of game of shuffleboard with some of the material and the different tickets that we're using. So we've got this fake account called Arax, and then we've modified Cyrax to be able to delegate from Cyrax to Arax. Actually, this arrow is backwards. Hold on. Actually, no, it was correct. Yeah. So actually what we're going to do is we're really going to go like... This is the correct flow, but it's actually not the flow of where we're going to be using the tickets, because really the tickets all flow through DC01 over here. But what we're going to do is we're going to eventually try to compromise this Vagar server, and this is a Windows server. So we need an account that we're ultimately going to land up as on server 1. And so the account that we could use is an administrator account over here. We could say basically like the built-in administrator. Also, hey Panda, what's up? What's up with the U.S. government banning Claude Fable? We were talking about that at the very beginning of the stream. I think it's the result of... It's either one or two things. So, yeah, you're either right. It's either probably Anthropic trying to hype up even higher because the letter from the US government has not been released yet. I'm hoping it comes out before the Wednesday news stream. Or, so it's either like a PR masterclass, or Anthropic hyped too close to the sun and is now being burned by it because they said, oh my God, Zors, our new model is like a nuclear bomb. It's that powerful. It's amazing. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It could end life as we know it. And the government said, okay, we're going to restrict you then. So either, and now what's really funny though, is with that restriction is the main person that Anthropic just hired, that's a really big name in AI and machine learning, is Andrew Karpathy. And even he is not a US citizen, so he would not have access to it. I really doubt Fable is that good. Nobody knows. Dude, I would try like the simplest things with it. And it's like, boom, you hit the guardrail. Boom, you hit the guardrail. I have to think that, I don't know. And also, to put a little bit extra context around this, I've got tons of friends, obviously, that work in cybersecurity, and a couple of them have had access to Mythos. And they're like, yeah, it's pretty cool, but if you just yeet code at it, it's going to give you a ton of false positives. So a couple of them have gone through, and they're good vulnerability researchers. They've been going through and developing ways to actually get it to validate and work on the correct vulnerabilities and get the false positives out. That's the main thing they're trying to do. No, so they pulled Fumble completely offline because I don't think they're set up to basically properly vet who is and who isn't a US citizen. So, and then my conspiracy theory hat comes on, and we're looking at a whole bunch of other potential reasons for this, because Anthropic and their CEO have been on a big push of basically restricting AI competition and putting a lot more like controls around any kind of AI system. So it's like, is this just another play for them to say like, hey, by the way, we're using this and we're sacrificing the Fable model to get to this point where we can restrict any other startup lab and they can't compete with us? So that's the conspiracy theory side of me. Stop right there, criminal scum. Nobody breaks the law on my watch. I'm confiscating your stolen Mythos. Now pay your fine or it's off to jail with you. I had to read that in the voice of a Skyrim guard, because that's exactly what it sounds like. Yeah, I'll give you all. Hold on, let me pull something up real quick. Something else that I saw that I haven't had time to look at deeply. And this is something I bookmarked for the Wednesday night news stream. Is these guys here? So I need to go through and actually. Oh, really? It doesn't? Oh, very interesting. So, here, let me show you all this. So this was the screenshot in here for this account that supposedly no longer exists, right? And supposedly they were saying that Fable was on par with GPT-5, which was not that different from Opus 4.8. This was their claim. Now, it appears that these people have gone offline. Their Twitter profile no longer exists. Interesting. The plot thickens. Hold on, let me try this one more time. How very interesting. Hold on. Copy link. Let me just double check this real quick. Nope, that's not the one. Hang on. Oh, here we go. It looks like Discord is just doing Discord things and being idiotic. Here we go. Here's the actual link to it. So I got to go back and see what these guys are actually doing. But this group here, Artificial Analysis, was basically claiming that the benchmarks for Fable 5 were basically only 1 point higher than GPT-5.5. So if that's true, don't take this at face value. I'm going to go read through this and actually analyze it and see what they were actually doing and what was the experimental setup. But if that's the case, then it doesn't really change the theory, but it does make you kind of laugh if it's true. Yeah, I wish I had an RTX 6000 Pro, because that would be sick. I could do so much with that. All right, let's go get our service ticket now, because I'm pretty sure I see where we're going to go with this here. Let's see. My machine went to sleep because I was yapping for too long. All right. So what we want to do is we want to get a service ticket. Our SPN is going to be service/server for the target ticket to be generated for. Now, hold on. What SPN do we want to use? All the new models got leaked, and with your own hardware, you could further train the model too. So Quinn is a good base model, but there's unrestricted models out there too. Yeah, so if you ever wanted to run like one of those, let's call them unrestricted models, look for the ablated model, the ablated version of it. Because there's people that are going out there, they're using basically vector analysis to figure out like what the heretic models too. They're going through and they're analyzing what's happening to the weights as the data's passing through it, because the model has been trained to have a refusal mechanism in it. So what they're doing is they're finding out where those refusals are firing in the actual layers as it's passing through, and then they're turning those down. Basically, mathematically removing the refusal function out of the model when it does that. I think it's also slightly nerfing the intelligence of it, because none of those parameters really fit just one thing. They're serving multiple purposes, but I don't think it was very much when it was doing that. So yeah, the heretic models, I forgot about those, so thanks for reminding me, Monkey. The ablated models that are running in there, yeah, a lot of those you could just go do all that stuff with it. Unfortunately, some of the models are really, really big. Like even at 96 gigs, you're not fitting them in there. Even something like the, what was it? What was that specialized computer that NVIDIA came up with? The digits. Yeah. I was thinking, like, they used to call it the Spark, and I keep wanting to call it the Spark. It's usually a general minimal diminishing of the intelligence. Yeah. My friends think about getting a second RTX 6000 Pro, but since that doesn't support NVLink, will it really matter? Let me think. Because I have not gotten to experiment with spreading workloads across GPUs a ton. I did a little bit when I was at my previous employer, because we had a hash cracking system that had 8 NVIDIA Titan V cards in it. And so I was able to load very large models using that. However, it ran really fast. I don't think it's too much of an issue. Usually the NVLink part comes in whenever you're trying to get speed out, like more tokens per second. If you're not so worried about that and you've got an acceptable like value for it, because essentially if you don't have NVLink, each of those cards has to pass it through the mainboard bus, right? NVLink allows them to like talk directly to one another. So it gives you a little bit extra speed to it. I tried spreading the models between GPUs myself, but it never worked for me. You can definitely do it. I'm pretty sure, I've never done it with Llama CPP. Ollama does it kind of by default. Yeah. Yeah, the speed increase won't be quite there, but you can get the benefit to it. Yeah. There's a lot more going on, and unfortunately, I just don't have access to the hardware to do a lot of local model stuff. Pretty much the only thing I can do is on this computer here, I have one RTX 3060 with 12 gigs in it. That's about all I can do. And so I'm not loading multiple models or trying to spread it across GPUs. I've got a buddy who has access to some stuff, but he's always using his hardware, so I can't really just be like, hey bro, can I get a shell? So I've got two 3060s with 12 gigs and a Mac Mini with 16 gigs. So can I combine them into a decent 28 gigs? Not really. Those ones wouldn't quite work. The two 3060s, if you're running them on the same box, you'll get, just thinking from like a kind of first principles perspective, you're going to get pretty decent speed out of it, even if they're not directly linked. But then trying to network them over to the M4 Mac Mini, not quite. Oh, sorry, you have one RTX 3060. My bad. I read that as you had two of those. So yeah, no, I would not combine those. I'll take that. I'll make one little caveat to that. If you had a dedicated Thunderbolt link between the two of them, that may work. But I definitely think that's not a supported function. You're definitely mixing apples and oranges there. Set up a GoFundMe for an RTX 6000. Dude. Oh, for a 5080? God. They're so expensive. Let's see. All right, so last thing, let me think about this real quick. So let's go set up our service ticket command. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get a service ticket for administrator to Cyrax rum Arax. Yeah. This is what we're going to do. Yeah, so actually, let me make a sub-bullet here. Goal is to swap tickets to get administrator on Vagar. Let me make a note of that, so remember exactly where we're at. All right, so the command we're going to run here is going to be get st.py, and then we got to give it the SPN. So the service principal we want to hit in here. And so since we're just hitting the server itself, I think we just need to give it the server name. So in this case, it would be Cyrax $. And then we need to tell it who we're going to impersonate. Yeah, here we go. Damn it. Damn it. I'm fat-fingering the keyboard. There we go. So who we're going to impersonate. And so we're going to impersonate administrator. And then that, I think, is all we actually need from this. Let's see. What does TS do here? Timestamps, we don't care about timestamps. We're not doing any other swapping of the ticket right now. So, yeah, that's it. We can just go drop in our Arax credential material and be good. So let's go grab that real quick. So where is Arax? This one right here. Copy. Boop. Oh, wait. It's over here. So we'll drop that in. That right there should get us our service ticket right there. But notice how also, hold on, we did one more thing here. We set up our curb 5 to be root.ccache. So we can actually unset that because we don't need that. KRB5 CC name. Because we're giving it the credential material, we don't have to use the Kerberos ticket to prove who we are. We're going to be using the password here. There we go. So we've already got the username for Arax and the password. Oh wait, I just noticed that's missing $1 here. $1. There we go. Yeah. So we're going to impersonate Cyrax as the... Oh, sorry. We're going to impersonate two administrator on Cyrax. Doing it this way. With this username and password. Wait, I'm missing a quote? Yes, I am. Cyrax is not close quoted. There we go. That looks better. All right, cool. We got this. Let's go grab this and throw it in our notes real fast. We want some happy notes. Boop. There we go. So now we have this ticket here. Administrator at Cyrax for the Dracarius lab. Boom. Just like that. Oh my god, you guys are talking so much while I was going. Let me get there. I was really lucky I got a 5090 near MSRP 2 to 3 weeks before the VRAM explosion. I am mad jelly. Also, hey Hats, what's up, dude? How do you do, fellow feds? My custom embedded boards costs have doubled because DDR3 and 4 and EMC chip costs alone this year. Bro, I'm right there with you, Hats. This is a 10 terabyte drive that failed in my NAS. And I was pricing that out. And the damn things are near $400. I'm like, the last time I had a drive failure, I bought that for like 150 bucks. I got hit twice. I was in my upgrade cycle when the Bitcoin craze started, and then again when the VRAM apocalypse occurred. Bro, that's rough. I lucked into this 3060 right as all that was happening. I'm pretty sure this was a computer some guy got like as part of a package deal that had probably a 4000 series card. He swapped in a 3060 12 gig, which I was fine with. The 3060 12 gig still runs it just fine. So I kind of lucked out on this one. Only positive I'm having now with the extra hardware costs is now customers understand why they have to pay twice for the same board, as everyone knows what data centers are. Do you think we're ever going to get back to those times, at least if I upgraded 64 gigs of DDR4 before the AI craze? Yeah, eventually we will, because there's a very old economics principle that when you have high prices and high demand, the cure for the high prices is the high demand. The cure, that's not the actual quote. The quote is, the cure for high prices is high prices. Because if you have something that is that is currently high priced and in high demand, someone is coming to eat your margins. And as Papa Bezos said, your margins are my opportunity. So somebody is coming in there. There's all sorts of new hardware companies that have spun up. I think even Tesla is coming up, or not, maybe not Tesla, whatever X is, XAI, SpaceXAI, whatever they're called now. They're working on their own chip design. Whether or not they'll actually manufacture it in the near future is a different story, if they're going to keep it in-house, kind of like what Google does for a lot of their Tensor chips, right? It just depends, man. The cure for high prices is a high salary. That's for the other stuff, and yes, I agree with that. There's all sorts of data about basically the cost of living going up, but basically salary growth not compensating and not matching, right? It used to be CEOs made about 5 times what the average employee makes, and now it's closer to like 25 times. Like, damn. I heard it takes many years to start a new factory for memory. Oh yeah, it does. And it's very hard to like start them up. It's basically, it's not quite as bad as nuclear reactors. Nuclear reactors, usually it takes 10 years. And if you think about like all the biggest issue is all these data centers need a shit ton of power, right? We don't have a lot of excess generation happening. So the only thing that can provide the large amount of base load power is nuclear. And it's usually 10 years from groundbreaking to first producing onto the grid for a nuclear reactor to come online. And I saw that coming for a lot of different reasons, not to toot my own horn, but I was like, there's just no way that our current energy production is sustainable. We don't have enough land and enough places that it really works to deploy solar. Wind has its own special problems. And then I was like, the only thing that really makes sense, because the wind's not blowing all the time, the sun's not shining all the time, is nuclear. So a long time ago, I bought uranium stocks, and those have done well. They've offset everything else that turned to crap. Hey, Ford, what's up, dude? No worries, we're just going to reduce regulations to make it easier to spin up reactors. I worry about that too, because we've got a very good safety record because of those requirements. So it's going to be years for the fabs to spin up and build and start fabricating alone. Or to start the spin up takes 9 to 15 months. Tesla chip fab will be a banger mostly because it will have the full stack fab there. So unless usually you have a wafer fab, a chip fab, and a bonding and cap on different sites. Oh, I didn't actually know that, Foil. It makes sense because I know that like there's companies that specialize like SK Hynix, that they specialize in just the wafer fab. So it makes sense that those are kind of decentralized, but I think it makes more sense kind of have them all in-house. Why not? You're going to know how to cap your own chips better than anyone else. You made the damn things. So in Sweden, we made nuclear reactors in the 70s in 6 years. And we still use them. So why are things so much harder to make now? Well, just regulation. There was a lot of scare, especially after everything happened at 3 Mile Island and then at Fukushima. And then don't even get me started on Chernobyl. But Chernobyl was a massive human error. The RBMK reactors are actually very stable and very well designed if you don't go in and just monkey up the system and pull all the control rods out. And that's a different story. But yeah, that I don't know why that. Well, actually, I do know why. It's all basically psychology. Is what's happened. Is everybody has gotten really concerned about what could potentially happen because of a few small, rare cases. So even if they're I don't know, whatever it is, XAI. So even if their chips will be in-house, they'll still produce for others TSMC style because they'll need to get the investment back, and the chip fabs should have 100%. Oh, okay. It makes sense. Dude, I really hope that they can make thorium reactors a reality because we have so much thorium. Swedish reactors are now offline due to Greta. We would talk about spinning them back up. Wait, did they really shut down their Swedish nuclear reactors because of Greta Thunberg? Nuclear is one of the greenest energies on the planet. You have spicy rocks that make heat and boil water. And all the waste is usually stored right there. That's crazy. All right, let me check something out. So we need to get another service ticket now. Going back to the lab. you guys side rail me so much. That's all right. I like it. Not literally her, but like the whole Green and Progressive Party. Oh, okay, gotcha. Finland's latest reactor took 18 years to complete. Not sure why. Probably bureaucracy. That's usually the reason why. Is it the chat's goal to derail you all the time? Yes, it is. It is. And y'all do a masterful job of it. Oh, I got you, hats. I understand. My wife and I constantly, Sock and I, we're constantly making the joke at her expense of, how dare you? And then I forget what happened one time. I think my friends had come over, they were hanging out, and one of them was holding Honey Badger. And I don't know what we'd eat. We'd eat a bunch of junk food. We were hanging out, chilling, and one of them just ripped a giant fart while he's holding Honey Badger. And Honey Badger looks at him and goes, how dare you? Oh, so the whole Green Party is what caused the shutdown of the Swedish nuclear reactors? Bro. The energy demand isn't going down. It's just nuts. All right, anyway. Let's go get us a new service ticket. So what we're going to look at now is we're actually going to go get... Let me think about this. We need a... Let me double check this real quick. Ah, crap. Hang on one sec, guys. I gotta go take care of something. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. That's weird. That command should have fired 57. There you go. I'm guessing it was user error. Blaise has pooped 256 times on stream. That is a dirty lie. Yep, skill issues. Skill issues abound. All right, so now let me think about this. So we have a ticket to now impersonate that administrator on there. So what we need to do next is we got to get another service ticket. So, but we need to get a service ticket for... We need to get a straight service ticket for Cyrax. That's what we need. So let's go do that real quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the same st command here. So get st .py, and then let's see. No, correction. We need a TGT. Take the back. We need to get a TGT for Cyrax. In fact, it looks like we already had the command pulled up and prompted. Yes, nice. That's right, because we had done that earlier when we were tinkering with some other stuff. That's fine. Cool. Hold on, because we want to make sure we've got a fresh TGT here. So let's go grab that. Awesome. So now we've got our TG. So what we're going to do is we're going to export that now and then get a different one. So let's do export. Let's delete all this stuff out. There we go. So we'll go ahead and rather than putting this on one line, I'm going to do this in 2 lines, because now what we're going to do is now we're going to get another service ticket in here. So we can copy this command and then modify this. Ooh, did you make tea? Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Hang on, what's that, guys? All right, I'm back. Sock brought me tea. So unfortunately, let's see, on Sunday, I guess it was, or maybe it was Wednesday night, when I had to leave because I heard something in the kitchen. This cool Star Wars mug, the light up one, unfortunately it broke. And I was talking to Saka, I thought maybe she dropped it. No, apparently it just came apart per, usual Disney quality as she was cleaning it. And that's how she cut her hand on it. So we're going back to the purple Fleur de Lis mug right here. I've got electric heating in the middle of Sweden. Every time I pay my bills, I'm like, who wants my vote? Bring the reactors back. Yeah, right? That's the main thing. Everybody's going to vote with their wallet. All right. What was I doing? Oh, that's right. We're getting a service ticket now. So we exported the Cyrax one. We're going to get a different service ticket now. So, because now we're going to chain this over into our constrained delegation as we're doing this. So we've got the service ticket for administrator here. Boop. And then we're going to do a get st.py. And for our SPN, we're going to target one of those SPNs that we just made. So we're going to target, let's see, HTTP. Hold on, what was the actual one? Let me double check it. Where's Vagar? Vagar, come on down. You're the next contestant on role-based constrained delegation. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste it because I want the exact setting for it here. Boop, just like that. Okay, so we're going to basically get a service ticket to the SPN for arax.dracarys.lab, but to the HTTP service. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, again, impersonate the administrator. And then we're going to tell it should have had a TAC K and no pass option in here. Yes. So we have our usual TAC K, TAC no, TAC pass right there. Boop. There we go. And then there's one additional thing we have to do for this, and that is we're going to include an additional, because there's an option for an additional ticket, because we're going to include that ticket that we created for that other service account, for that other service ticket to administrator. That's what we're going to do right there. And so the one we're going to include is, yeah, perfect. It filled it in. Nice. And then the last thing is we tell it, like, what's the principle that we're using? No, actually, no, because we're going to use Cyrax. We already exported the TGT, so we just have to tell it where we're connecting to. So let's give it the DC IP. So DC IP 10.4.10.10. This might be useful also if you're wondering. Usually it does a pretty good job of inferring like where the DC is by like looking it up and finding it. But this is a small lab with only one domain controller. If you were in a large corporate environment and you had multiple domain controllers and maybe one of them was running a different version that operated differently, and I can't really think of any offhand that do. But let's say, like, for example, you found an older one that maybe you wanted to target, or you wanted to make sure you didn't accidentally hit like a read-only domain controller. Then you could use this DCIP to tell it, hey, by the way, you're going to make this connection, but that's the machine you're going to connect to. Don't just pick one out of the DNS pool. What was the identity one? Hold on. Must have missed it. Wait, hold on. Shouldn't the identity have been filled in? Because previously we did this as the identity here. Okay, I guess we still, even though we're using the Kerberos ticket, we still have to give it that. So let's do, what was that? It was, we don't need the whole thing. We just need, wait, hold on. This is for Arax. Okay, let me just copy this part. Because what we need is we're going to have to do this for Cyrax, for that machine. Racks dollar. That should be good. All right, there we go. Awesome. So now what we did is we used an S4U to proxy. So we're coming from Cyrax, with Cyrax's TGT. We're passing it a service ticket. So we're proving who we are, and then we're providing the service ticket so that the domain controller can then provide us a different one for administrator on HTTP to Arax right here. So we're bouncing between these two machines in here, back and forth, back and forth. So now once we've got that, now we just have to rewrite the SPN in this ticket, because this service principal name, the SPN in that ticket, isn't set in stone. Now the question is, where do we do that and impact it? Here we go. Hold on. Let me go back here. Which tools do we have that might do that? We're not getting a ticket. So like get ST, I didn't see an option for that in get ST in here. Let's see. Services, I'm pretty sure just lists our services in here. Let's see. I don't see any tools in the Impacket suite that would let us do that TGS SPN swap. Hang on, actually. Maybe over in Hacking Recipes they covered which tool it would be. No, they just did this with RBCD, get ST, pass the ticket. That's all for change password. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. Impacket, TGS swap SPN. Oh, maybe we can do it with ST. We could just do alternate service in there. Maybe I missed that. Hang on. Where's get ST? Let me look at that real quick. We had additional ticket. This was saying use alt service. Ah, there we go. New SNAME or SPN to set in the ticket. Okay, so we could have done that in one. So let's go modify that command real quick. Now, where does that need to go? Alt service was after SPN. So it's tac alt service. Is that right? Yeah, tac alt service. And then we're going to tell it what we want to target in there. So what we want to do is we want to target we want to target HTTP. Well, we want to target a service on Vagar now, because now we're ready to actually jump over to it. So hold on, let me go make sure which ones we had. Actually, I don't think we have to target one in here. It doesn't need to be a real... Let me think. What do we have we could connect over to that? We could connect over to host, but I'm not quite sure what to do with that over on it. Which service do I want to target on here? I gotta remember which one could we use to target SMB. Let's see. Windows, SPNs, or SMB Kerberos ticket. I gotta remember which ones that is. Yeah, SIFs should always be in there. So let's see if we can target SIFs with it. So what we'll do is we're going to target SIFs slash... what is it? Vagar.Dracarys.lab. Okay, and then I think we have a described ticket. Yeah, there we go. Nah, damn it. And I believe we can just pass in that ticket to double check it. Yeah, so what was that ticket called? It was this one right here. Copy that. So let's drop that in and we can just double check it real quick. So this should be a valid ticket for SIFs over on SIFs, which is the Common Information File System. God, I forget what SIF stands for. But anyway, basically SMB access over to Vagar right here as the administrator. So what we need to do now is we need to test that out. So let's export that. What was the ticket called? Administrator at SIFs. There we go. Let's go ahead and wrap that. Wrap that thing up. Play it safe. All right. Now I got to remember how to do NXC with it. Let's see. NXC with Kerberos ticket. See if I can remember how to do this. There you go. Oh, it's just use Kcache. Okay. Let's go try that real quick. So NXC SMB to 10 dot... Actually, I'm going to do it by host name in here. Vagar.Dracarys.lab. Since we're using... So anytime you're using Kerberos, it's best to use an FQDN. If you can't use the FQDN, you want to go set up something like your Etsy host file to be able to go point over to it. Now, we had trouble with NXC doing this before, but it didn't matter. Ta-da! Awesome. So now that we are there, here's what we can do. So we now have admin permissions over on the second server. So we've moved off the Linux server. We've compromised this using a whole bunch of ticket sleight of hand. So I want to get a C2 payload on there. I'm pretty sure PS exec. Let's see. I'm pretty sure they have a PS exec on there. Let's see. PS exec. Let me check the SMB stuff here. Let's see. Command execution. So we could do WMI exec. We could do SMB exec. If we do SMB exec, it's going to get us a system level shell as NT authority system instead of but for example, if we did WMI exec, we would actually get one back as the administrator on there. Let's see. By default, NXC will fail over to different execution methods. If one fails, it attempts to execute the commands in this order. WMI SB. Okay, so we want to set the exec method like that. Let's see. I think that's going to come after it. So let's do this. Let's do TechX. Actually, I think it's lowercase x. Yeah, capital X is with PowerShell, which we could possibly do. We could make a PowerShell one-liner to go execute, basically download and execute our payload. Let's see. Let's just try this. Let's see. I'm going to test and see if this works real quick. Cannot retrieve output file. It may be detected by any virus. Okay, let's try exec method. Let's see. What was it? Was it SMB? Yeah, SMB exec. So it looked like the WMI method worked, but then it failed. Let's see, does this actually support WinRM now also? It does. Ooh. Okay, maybe we could try this with WinRM then. Well, actually no, because our ticket is for SIFs. So we can do it, but we need to go get a new one. Let's see. So what we want to do is, let's go grab a new one here. I gotta remember which it is. Let's see. Windows, SPNs, Kerberos for WinRM. I think it's just HTTP. I thought there were two other ones that we needed. Let's see. I think it's just HTTP that we need. So let's go try that one instead. Let's come back over here. Let's see. HTTP. Pre-authentication information was invalid. No! Did our service ticket die? Let me see. Oh, you know why it died? Because we got to go reset the Curb 5 name. That's why. Because we're doing this with Kerberos. However, we're exporting the wrong ticket. We need to get the Cyrax TGT. There we go. All right. Let me grab a copy of this command real quick, so we can see where we're going here. Boop. Oh, hold on. Let me get the export command too, since I need to keep track of all the commands that we're running. Let's copy that, throw that into our notes real quick. There we go. Bam. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So now, if that works with netexec, then we could also just use evil WinRM if we wanted to. Let's see. Oh, wait, hold on. Nope, that's not going to work. I got to export that ticket now. We're playing the ticket dance. Let's see. Admin at HTTP. Vagar. That's the one. There we go. Now we can try our netexec command. Let's take this stuff out. Let's see. It was just WinRM, wasn't it? Let's see. Yeah. All right, let's see if this works. That's weird. Schema mismatch detected for table host in protocol WinRM. Is WinRM... Let me see. Maybe WinRM doesn't support the Kerberos option in here. Let's see. NXC, WinRM. H. Should be working. So, do we have Evil WinRM in? Well, let's just try it with Evil WinRM. That would work. Crap. I haven't used Evil WinRM in forever. Let's see. Give it the IP we're going to connect to. That's going to be 10.4.10.11. Actually, hold on. I don't want to use the IP address. I want to use the host name, since we're doing this with Kerberos. Vagar Dracarys.lab. There we go. And then, what else do we need from these options in here? Do we need the realm? I don't know. Let's just try it with this. If maybe the realm, which would be, where's that? Kerberos auth has to be set in etc curb5 comp file using the format here. I think we already did that. Let me just try this real quick. Okay. Oh, that's not gonna like that. Let me double check this file real quick. Let's see. So I'm pretty sure we actually did that. Yeah. Okay. So we could just set the realm in here, and that should pick it up out of that file. Dracarys.lab. Let's see. So error is type GSS API error message happened. We'll check something in here. So for realm, Dracarys.lab, here's our KDC, admin server, default domain. So all that should be good for what we're doing in here. So, Alpha Victor Charlie, what's up, man? Welcome in. I hope you're having a stupendous Saturday. Let me make sure I got the Kerberos ticket correct. Let me see. And then where's our get st command? Let me make sure I got this correct. Maybe this needs to be capitalized. I wouldn't think so. But this looks correct. This worked for SIFs. If WinRM is running on that box, we should be able to see this. Hey, Tanis told us about you. Dude, Tanis is such a cool dude. I'm sad I don't get to catch his streams more often, but he's an absolute Linux wizard. And in fact, hold on, I'm going to give him a shout out because I just wanted him to wonder, like, oh God, what were they saying about me? Let's see. Because he's going to see that in his alert, and he's going to be like, oh no, what are they doing? When did I start working on Kerberos? Really started getting kind of deep into Kerberos about, maybe about 2 years ago. Before that, I kind of understood it, but not really in depth. Yeah. So what we're doing is, if you check the pinned message, there's a link to the GOAD Game of Active Directory Dracarys Lab. So rather than like normal Active Directory, where or the normal Game of Active Directory lab, where it's like damn vulnerable AD, this is a special challenge lab that Mayfly put out. So what we're doing is we have, bring up the notes here. So we started on this Linux box named Cyrax. We did a SQL injection, we pulled out some credentials, and then we were able to use those to get a Kerberos ticket and then SSH over into the server. Cool. That put us in as the Sunfire user. But then using the Sunfire user, because this Linux machine is completely bound into Active Directory, we then, because it had a machine account quota of 10, which is default Windows, we then created a root machine. Well, that root machine is, the actual name is root dollar. However, MIT Kerberos tends to drop that dollar sign. So by using this, we then got a TGT for root. That allowed us to root the Linux box. And then we were able to steal Viserian's, another user's ticket granting ticket. So after we stole Viserian's, that didn't quite give us access over to here, but Viserian had permissions to write a spin over onto Vagar. So we've been going through, and we then created another machine named Arax, because this was allowed to delegate over to Cyrax. So we have been hopping between these machines and playing a shell game of Kerberos tickets to swap these around. And essentially where we have ended up is we're in a position where we can impersonate the administrator account on this server, Vagar, using those service tickets. But because the service tickets only target a particular service, we're trying to see which one we want to use to try and compromise this machine. So I'm trying to figure out why WinRM isn't working. So I'm double checking what we've done for our tickets in here. Evil WinRM is one of my favorite tools that sucks so bad. You ever know, like, you have that really old, worn out, I understood some of that. I'm going to do a write-up video explaining like everything about it, like what the steps were and like the various technologies and like, hey, this is why this portion worked. This is why this portion worked. And basically make it like a long learning lab, because this lab, it didn't deploy cleanly onto the server too. So we had to go get backdoor access into a lot of the machines to go fix certain things. But that was actually kind of cool because we learned certain things. I'll say I knew they were there, but it gave me a good teaching opportunity. Things like around the clocks, certain scripts didn't deploy cleanly. It was just a funky deployment into my Proxmox server over here that's running Ludus. So not such a big deal. It gave me new learning and teaching opportunities. And so I'm going to run through all of those and drop them out. That's right. We're hitting all the trifectas in there. And see, I knew some of the theory behind what a Linux machine will operate like when it's connected to Active Directory, but this was a little bit different because it operated in a weird way. There's basically a file on that Linux machine that keeps a copy of its own credentials, right? Because it needs to know what its account is to go talk to Active Directory. So one of the tools that we were using didn't read all the credentials. It only read the first couple. And there was another set down there because the first set was stale and expired. We've been very slowly working through this lab, just having fun, chatting, messing around with it, hacking around, finding out. And because of that, the machine accounts cycle every 30 days. So its original credentials went stale, and then we had a new set that was further down, but the script we were using only read the first set. So we had to go find an alternative that would allow us to read all the credentials as it went through. So it's been a really cool learning experience to figure out some of those things and get a better, more concrete understanding of how Linux machines interact whenever they're joined to Active Directory. Sounds like one of those percussive motors I still use in my lab. It came in some Soviet kid's DIY kit, and I got it when it was still in the USSR as a kid in the late 80s. Right? That's exactly how evil WinRM is. It's really cool, and it lies to you quite a bit. Like, percussive motivator, aka a hammer. That's right. Percussive motivator. I love that. Yeah, and pretty much that's what Evil WinRM is. Evil WinRM has its own big pitfalls, which if you haven't beat it up a lot, you won't know about. Like, for example, it will give you a nice little CLI. It's written in Ruby, so it's kind of junky. But if you leave that CLI up, thinking, oh, I'm keeping my shell alive, that's not what happens. It silently dies in the background. And then whenever you enter a new command, it just spins up a new one. Well, then if you've done any sort of AMSI bypasses or you've set up custom things in that process, those are all gone. And there's no understanding of that if you don't know how the tool is actually working. Again, why I'm always banging the drum on, you need to test tools in a lab environment and beat the crap out of them before you try to go use them on a penetration test to the best of your ability. All right, let me go backtrack here a little bit. So we've got our TGT for Cyrax here. Let me try this again. All right, so all I did is I changed this to capital HTTP. I don't think it's case sensitive. That's the only thing I can think of because this all looks correct in here. I tell you what, let me try one more thing real fast here. So let me re-export the new service ticket. We're making a couple changes here. I'm going to wrap that just in case those @ symbols are messing it up. And then I'm going to try Evil WinRM again. And this is one of the things that I hate about Evil WinRM. Do we have a debug option in here? No, we don't. Let's see.
And put in a different sound, then the person will actually hear it. It's crazy how multimodal the brain is in respect to hearing. And all of these tricks make it possible to do audio compression.
Let me try something else real quick again. We know that SIFS ticket works, right? Maybe we can do something with PowerShell here. Rather than trying to chase this down, we know that this one works. Let's see. Let's double check this again real quick. Does this cache ticket work? So that one worked no problem. WinRM should have worked in here, but you know what we have is, let's use Kcache. Let's try with PowerShell execution. What can we get with that? Because if the PowerShell execution works, then maybe we can actually go through and we can just do like a PowerShell one-liner. All right, let's try I think it was tac exec method. So right now it's trying it through WMI exec, which is not a bad thing. Well, actually, hold on. This is a good time to try something else here. So occasionally, you are trying to figure out if you've got command execution, right? So what you could do is you could either go set up something on your computer to be listening for like ICMP echoes. So let's go do that. And then what we'll do is we'll have it ping us and we'll see if we get a ping back. Let me see. Let's look here. TCP dump ICMP echo reply. I gotta remember how to set up the TCP dump command here. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. This is what we want. So just TCP dump. Copy that. Did we have TCP dump on this machine? Probably. Awesome. I gotta know which can. We're running ETH0? Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So what we'll do is TCP dump interface ETH0, and then we're going to set it to where, hey, show us if the ICMP type is a 0 in here. Sudo. There we go. And then what we'll do, we'll come back over here, and the command we want it to run is going to be ping 10.4.10. What was that? 118. That's us in here. There we go. 118. So the problem is it's saying it can't get the output file to check if it's actually working. So we don't know if the command execution failed, or we don't know if it just can't get the output from the command executing. Unfortunately, it looks like it didn't like that. So that did not fire. So we didn't see anything come back on TCP dump here. Let's try filtering just by ICP in total real quick. And then let me try something real quick. I just want to try something fast here. Okay, so we do see, just to make sure the TCP dump is working, I just did a quick ping to quad ones. That came back. We're good there. So now let's go try this again. Just in case that command wasn't being fully and truthfully honest to us. Okay, so still nothing coming back. That should have already hit us, because it's going to by default ping us 4 times. So the execution method didn't quite work. So let's change that. Exec method, let's go to add exec. Because there were 3. There was WMI exec, add exec, and then SMB exec. Let's try add exec. Let's try that. Come on, big money. No whammy, no whammy. All right. Nothing coming back there, unfortunately. All right, we got one more in here. Let's try SMB exec. All right, so net exec looks like it is whiffing hard on here. We could also just try impact its PS exec. I can always tell an 80s and 90s kid if they say no whammy, no whammy. That's right. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy. All right, so netexec is absolutely whiffing on this. So maybe he's got CIFs locked down there. But actually, hold on, we should have a psexec.py in here. Yeah. Let's try this. So we'll do... So we're going to have our target and our command. So we're going to do tac no pass. Then we'll do tac K for Kerberos authentication. And then we'll have our target. Our target is going to be... let's see. Vagar.dracarys.lab. And then our command, we'll just run who am I. Let's see how this works. So psexec is normally hella loud and easy to fingerprint and discover, so I don't usually typically use it on a penetration test or a red team. Actually, I'll use it on a penetration test if stealth is not a component to it. Because it is also nice to, like, you want to do some things that your client can catch, because it's a confirmatory test for their controls, right? So this is taking quite a bit, so I'm thinking it's probably going to fail as well. So we don't know what's causing it. Mayfly very well may have put something in to block SMB exec. Mr. 44, what's up, dude? I hope you're having a stupendous Saturday. Actually, knowing where you're at, it's probably a satisfying Sunday. Yeah, this is taking way too long. We could cheat and go get into the box and go see if the service was actually ever created. Yeah, there it goes. Error opening the service manager. Damn it. All right, so no luck there. So PS exec looks like a dead end. Let me try evil WinRM one more time. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let me go look at something real quick. Which version of evil WinRM are we running? So we're currently running version 3.9. Let's go see if there's a newer version of it up real quick. Let's see. Evil WinRM. I don't know if this has been updated in forever. Updated gem spec to 3.9. So which version are we currently running? Let's see. Yeah, so we're on the latest version of it. Let's see. Okay. Evil WinRM with Kerberos auth. Let's make sure we're not missing something in here. All right, so Kerberos Authentication supports both password-based and ticket-based authentication. Generate a host file. And it's funny because he's actually using the Game of Active Directory example in here. Which is what we did. We put that into our Etsy host. We're all good there. We actually did use netexec for that because I think it was 44 who showed that to me. I didn't know that that was added to netexec. And I believe this is also the curb5conf file that we're using. All right, so for ticket-based... Oh, is that one of the things? Did we not... No, we actually looked at our Etsy curb5conf. Hang on. Let's double-check that real quick. Nah, where was that? Well, this should have spit out a .conf file. Yeah, that was their one. So we made it, I think we made it here. Hey, Cankles, what's up, dude? Yeah, we copied that over to the NXC one. The one that NXC kicked out, we copied that over to the system one because it was fine with that. And yeah, we should just be able to do it like... Maybe that's why, because I didn't do TAC Kerberos. This is what this one's saying. All right, let's try that real quick. Let's see. Tech Kerberos. Let's just see if that works. Oh, wait. That's not going to work because... Oh, his documentation is outdated. Another thing that I loathe about Evil WinRM. Yeah, because he did... in the latest version, 3.9, he doesn't even have Tac Kerberos in here. So according to this, it should be running everything through this realm right here. Yeah, so it should be like this. And I know it's going to fail because we're still using the CIFS ticket. So this is the HTTP ticket here. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm an idiot. It says it right here. Matching credential not found in the Ccache file. What? What? Yeah, that's exactly it, 44. That is exactly it. We've got the... We have, by doing some service ticket sleight of hand, right? we've got a service ticket for the user administrator to the HTTP service on Vagar. But here it's saying missing credential file not found, even though we just exported it. Now, what I've got a feeling is that this file is probably mucking up the Ruby gem. So I'm going to do something real quick. Copy this over to administrator HTTP vagar.ccache. Let's try renaming the file here. And then what we'll do is we'll export that. All right, let me try one more thing here. Maybe the full path is messing up. Evo WinRM does some really dumb stuff sometimes. All right, let me double check my commands real quick. DRACARYS.lab. Yeah. Let me try. I'm going to try one more thing here. I'm making sure everything kind of lines up in here. Rep for Dracarys from Etsy Curb 5 Conf. Bam. Okay. So all those are lining up. So we did this with the get ST option in here, and it was working for CIFS. I don't know why it's not working for HTTP, or why for some reason over here the matching credential file isn't being found by Evil WinRM. Why are you not finding that file? Wait, no, the alt service has a typo? You gotta be kidding me. I'm gonna be pissed if that's the case. Did I spell Vagar wrong? VHAGAR. So this was the last one I was looking at. Oh, it had the error in here because I just had a typo. Yeah. No, we didn't actually run that command. This was the command that actually executed right here. So hold on. Let me get TGT. So this is us getting that TGT for it, right? We'll just go ahead and we'll grab a new one. And then we'll go ahead and export that one for Cyrax. There we go. So then if we go export that one, we go get our service ticket. The best part about these IT InfoSec dev streams is saying I'm not the only one who blunders with stupid mistakes for hours. No, man, you're not. Not at all, dude. And anybody who says they get it right the first time is in one of two situations. They've got it right the first time because they struggled with it for hours in the lab, and maybe they're doing a red team and they can't afford to make mistakes, or they're just looking at it and they kind of pre-planned everything out. Now, I'm doing this, like I said, differently because usually I'd be doing this from a Windows machine using Rubius. Impacket is fingerprinted to kind of hell, Shut up, baby. I know it. And so I don't typically use Impacket whenever I'm doing any kind of a red team. Penetration test, sure. Something where I'm not worried about getting caught. Yeah, we'll throw some Impacket out there. All right, let me do something real quick. Let's describe this ticket real fast. Let's see. So this is HTTP to Vagar right there. Damn it. I didn't close the quote. I backticked it. There we go. So to administrator, dracarys.lab, HTTP vagar.dracarys.lab. I just mean dev in general. Oh, I know, man. Dude, no, a lot of it is going through and tinkering and figuring out, like, and it's especially bad in offensive security. And I think so in kind of defensive security too, because you'll have these opinionated copies of these tools, and what seems readily apparent to how it should be configured by the author may not be readily apparent to how it's configured by the user. So you get that kind of, the UX experience is pretty bad a lot of times with these like hacking tools. Okay, so this should be good here. Everything in here looks legit. We're targeting the correct service. HTTP should be all we need for WinRM. If I remember correctly, I couldn't find the exact list in there. So let me do something real quick here. That should be the ticket. I'm going to change that to... I'm going to copy it over to this just in case. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to export KRB5CC name. Let's see, home, Kali, Dracarys, administrator, HTTP Vagar. And then all right, do I have all this spelled right? Yeah. Vagar, Dracarys. If this works, I'm going to pull my hair out because we didn't fucking change anything. That's one for the swear jar. Last time I spent hours on code debug to only find out one of my power supply units were failing and there was no bug. And I rewrote the whole thing to completely different approach before it hit me. Oh no. Oh no. Hold on. So now one of the cool things is we're on the system now. Right? So we're in like this faux PowerShell right here. We're operating as administrator. Cool. Now, get MP preferences. I think that's the command. Damn it, what is that command? Let's see. PowerShell check if Defender is enabled. I'm just curious about something real quick. Oh, okay, so that's why PS exec was getting squashed. Yep, MP computer status, it's running there, and it's running real-time protect. So if we're going to use this, we're going to need an MZ bypass and probably something else. Oh, it's not plural, is it? Missed it by that much. All right. Let's see. Do we have anything in here that is not excluded? Nope. So let's do this. We're going to cheat. And if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Let's see. PowerShell, add defender exclusion. Here we go. Perfect. Let's just grab that. And then the path we're going to use is going to be this path right here. Why? Because I said so. That's why. And we're running as administrator, so it doesn't really matter. Now, what we need to do is we need to go back over to Mythic. Let's hop back into Mythic real quick. Let's go set us up an Apollo payload, and we'll get that sucker running on there. Windows, Apollo, next. And we can leave all this, I believe, good. Let's see. We'll just throw the whole shebang in there. And then HTTP profile. Yep, I want to use our basic one. Tells us to come back to us. Next, and create payload. So we'll let this build for just a second. What we'll do is we'll go upload that Apollo binary. We'll see if we can get it to run. Yeah. Now, we also do have real-time detections running on here, so it may not actually work. We'll see. Oh, crap. It's 11 already? Let me see if I can get this shell up real quick. We'll test it real fast. If the shell comes back, then we'll know that the real-time protections are functioning in there. All right, let's download that. All right, let's see. Upload. Wants me to upload it from there. Hang on one second. Let's do this. Break out of here. CD, so let's copy from downloads, Apollo. We'll put that into the Dracarys directory. Apollo.exe. Boop. And then, I don't know why I just did that. There we go. There we go. And then, I gotta remember how to do this for PowerShell. Let's see. PowerShell run process sound. Can you do that in PowerShell? I've never tried this actually. To run a detached or disdown program, do start job. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. Let's just copy you. So I don't remember how to do that offhand. So what we'll do now... Oh, not that. What we want is this path here. We'll drop that in. We'll do Apollo.exe and have it run. So we got that running as a background job. Did we get a new callback? We did not. So if we want to get a C2 callback, we'll have to go bypass everything we've just done. That's okay. That's all right. Let me make a note of something real quick. Why this worked, I have no idea. But let's go grab this last command that we just did right here. Because we'll have to go set up the tickets again tomorrow night. So let's go put that into our notes. Let's see. Why did it copy like that? That is terrible. I have no idea why it looks like that. Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of is that we changed it from capital HTTP to lowercase. It's weird that it just dropped in all these weird backticks. What is going on here? There we go. It looks like when I pasted it in, it just all of a sudden started panicking and like doing these weird line wraps. But anyway, so after we did that, then we did our export. I'm just going to grab these because we're going to have to run through this again tomorrow night. All these Kerberos tickets will expire overnight. Keep it simple. We did a copy. And then we did our export. Just like so. Drop them, bam. And then our evil WinRM command is the last thing we need. And unfortunately, that's where we got to wrap it up tonight because it is late. I got church early in the morning. Got to take the kids motocrossing tomorrow. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a fun day. Yeah, I think we'll take a little detour and we'll do a little bit of defender bypassing. We'll see what we can do with it and getting Apollo running on there hidden. All hidden's like. So, let me see who's on InfoSec streams real quick. Let's see. Anybody on? Nope. Nobody here but us BBCs. Yeah. Oh, it's Hey Cypher. I just saw your message up there. Evo WinRM with Ccash is so fiddly. No backbreaking. No, I will not be riding tomorrow. I really want to, man. If I could. Hey, Mayhem, thanks for coming online, dude. Right there at the buzzer. If I could get the old Yamaha Blaster set up, it's a 250cc. It gives me enough power to keep up with the kids, but not enough to like go hurt myself. I say that, but actually that's not true because there was one time I lost a bolt in one of the shocks. So right, you got the A arm, you got the upper and lower, and then you've got the shock that connects down to the A arm assembly, right? And one of the bolts just freaking came out. And it came out from the right side as I'm taking a left turn, right? So I'm leaning on that, and that freaking four-wheeler just went and just dumped me on my shoulder one time. And I wasn't even really like doing anything. I was just taking a turn. I was going NASCAR style. I'm taking a left turn. That was it. All right, let's go see who's online that we might be able to raid out to. Who's over in Science and Tech tonight? Let's see. Astro Canucks on doing some nightly streams. So is Danny. Let's see. Who else we got here? Science is on also. They're doing the duck side of the moon. Let me see who else I got. I know, Peaches. You need to go outside. I'm going to let you out in just a second. Let's see. Griffin's on. Psyched is on playing some For Honored. You could always go right over to him, do a late night gaming chill out. Don't be stingy on the thread locker. No kidding. No, after that happened, we did a thorough checking of all the nuts and bolts after that. Oh, you've had this exact problem with Evil WinRM? I don't know if I've ever used Evil WinRM with Kerberos tickets before. So, yeah, learning experience. Let's see. Hold on, what is Rob doing? Rob is live right now. He's doing some IRL stuff. I think he's out riding his bike. Let's see. I'll tell you, we'll go right over to Griffin. He's doing fun coding stuff. We'll set him up. Do me a favor, guys. When you get over there, drop a bunch of Hack the Planets and Happy Hackers. He's a really cool dude. Hella smart developer. And I'm hoping to get to go hang out with him next time I'm up his neck of the woods. So I will catch up with y'all tomorrow night. Where's the button? There it is. Yep. All of y'all have a fantastic Sunday. I hope you spend time with your friends and families. Get rejuvenated for full-time crushing it mode come Monday. That's where I'm going to be. I hope you weren't doing anything with Fable 5, but knowing this crowd, I doubt you were, and you just got guardrailed back into Opus 4.8. So, yeah, that's the whole thing. I'm not bitter at all. Anyway, guys, I got to run. I will catch up with you all tomorrow night. we'll keep hacking on this. Maybe we'll go do a little bit of a left turn over into some AV evasion. I'm so bitter. Sorry, dude. I know. But the whole thing's funny. I have to laugh at it. So anyway, guys, that's it. I got to wrap it up there. I want you all to remember one very important thing, and I do mean this absolutely. This isn't just some cheesy sign off. This is 100% true, organic, grass-fed, grass-finished truth. And that is, I love you. Peace.